Hello, everybody. John Russell here, psychic, paranormal investigator, and author. And we'll talk about my latest book here in just a little while, A Knock in the Attic. But first, I want to talk to you about UFOs. You know, I said I was going to start this YouTube channel and discuss a variety of paranormal, supernatural, and other happenings. Some people classify UFOs as supernatural, others don't. It doesn't matter for our purpose of discussion here. What we want to do is talk about UFOs, the reality of the UFOs, the government cover-up, which is obvious, and I'll tell you some of my UFO experiences as well. First off, for those who say that there's no evidence for UFOs, there is tons of evidence, physical evidence, trace evidence, that UFOs have landed on this planet, interacted with people on this planet. We have numerous abduction reports, so on and so forth. The late physicist Stanton Friedman, who was one of the premier paranormal researchers, once made the statement that there's an embarrassment of riches of physical evidence. He said that anyone that says there's no physical evidence regarding UFOs has simply not made the least little effort to examine the abundance of evidence that is out there. So yes, there is plenty of evidence out there. In line with that, the New York Times, a year or so ago, began to devote articles to the footage, the video footage from our fighter aircraft that had captured UFOs. The government admitted that they were UFOs. In one article, I saw the implication that they might even be a threat to our national security. And then here just recently, and I'll try and make all these links available in the description section here. Just recently, and I'm quoting from a news story here from the American Military News, the Pentagon has admitted to holding and testing anomalous debris from UFOs. Okay? So there's just no question that UFOs exist, that they're real, that they're here. They've been here for a long time. I have psychically communicated with spirits that go back hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years on this planet, and they have reported to me that they saw these objects in the skies back then. So that eliminates it's our technology, it's some other country's technology. That eliminates that argument because that technology didn't exist then, and yet they still saw these things in the skies. So there's plenty of evidence that UFOs are real. There's plenty of evidence that they're interacting with the Earth and with the Earth's population. The most casual research will confirm that for you if you take the time to do that. So there's plenty of evidence. One of the things that aggravates me no end about UFOs is the ongoing government secrecy. You know, we're all adults here. We're big enough to make up our own minds, to react to situations in a manner of our own choosing, and for the government to obviously know what is going on with UFOs, as Senator Harry Reid has stated that they do, and to continue to hide this from us and continue to obfuscate the truth and continue to engage in this deliberate black ops thing, if you will. It's beyond ridiculous, and at this point in time, we should all be rising up and saying, hey, just read the article. You admitted you've got debris. Hey, just read the article. I see that the fighter jets captured visual evidence of UFOs. And we should be demanding that our government start to come clean. You can't say that we're having disclosure. We've been working for disclosure for decades, and we're no closer now than we were then. Okay, we have a little dribble a few years ago, a year or two ago. Yes, the fighter jets saw the UFOs. We confirmed the UFOs. Big deal. No information. Nothing. Whose are they? What are they? What's their intent? Why are they here? What does the government know? Those questions haven't been answered, and the government needs to be pressed to have those questions answered. Now they tell us that they have anomalous UFO debris in their possession that they're testing. And what are the results of that? Where did the debris come from? What's going on? The public has a legitimate right to know. So we need to demand that the government end the secrecy. In an interview I saw, Senator Harry Reid said that there's a lot of UFO evidence, that what has been disclosed is not even a scratch on the surface, just the tip of the iceberg, and that there is a lot that the government knows and has hidden and has not revealed. Folks, it's time that the government come clean and reveal this to us. We're adults. We deserve to know. We have a right to know. And especially when people are getting abducted by aliens against their will and have experiments done to them against their will. Listen, we have a right to know who are these people? Where do they come from? What's the agreement, if any, with our government? What's going on? We have a right to know these things. We should demand that the government give us the truth, finally. So we have to demand an end to government secrecy. There's plenty of evidence that UFOs exist. One thing that bothers me is there are a lot of credible, good UFO researchers out there. And they seem to be stuck in a time warp. They seem to be stuck in a rut. And what I mean by that is, if you turn on any of the paranormal channels, like History Channel or whatever, that have paranormal shows, Travel Channel has them periodically, and you look at a new show, it says new, and it's about Roswell. Well, Roswell's been done to death, but okay, it says new, I'll look and see. And it's basically a rehash of the same stuff that we've been told over and over and over again. And there's rarely, if ever, anything, not even a little iota of information that actually really is new. The paranormal shows seem to be stuck in this time warp of Roswell and Rendlesham Forest. And if I see one more show about Roswell or Rendlesham Forest, I'm going to explode. I'm going to go nuts. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's getting to the point, I have 500 channels on my TV. I go and I want to watch a movie. I'm a TV fanatic. I like TV. That's how I relax, get away from the pressures of worldwide clientele, my radio shows, my podcasts, the readings that I do, everything else, my own paranormal investigations, and I like to go watch TV and relax. So I turn on the TV and I look for a movie, something upbeat, maybe something that'll make me laugh or smile. You know what I find? They're showing, again, movies that I watched 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's like, my God. And they repeat it in the same week 2 or 3 times. Is nobody making anything new? Are there no new movies? So the time warp that we're stuck in with our cable viewing appears to have infested the UFO researchers and what's being presented on TV to us as well. Roswell over and over and over and over and over again. Rendlesham Forest over and over and over and over and over again. And then we're promised new information or new things or whatever, and it's basically a rehash of things that have already aired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Okay, so it seems like the paranormal researchers are stuck in a rut, and they need to get out of that. Look, paranormal activity happens afresh daily, everywhere. Why not put together a film crew that'll go out and chase this and get it, capture it, and show us some new things? Are we that stuck in a rut that we're satisfied with the same old stuff over and over and over and over again? I just don't understand it. And a lot of the people that I've talked to about this agree with my opinions and my emotions about this. It's like, yeah, we're tired of it too. We know there's new things going on. We know there are things happening all the time. Show us what's happening now instead of talking about Roswell yet again. Okay, so way too much repetition in the paranormal community right now. Why don't the space brothers, the UFO occupants, whoever, whatever they are, why don't they help us? Look, the world is in a really, really desperate shape right now, and we could use some help. We could use some compassion from on high, some healing from on high, some help from on high. Why don't the space brothers help us? You know, the common theory is that they have to be at least benevolent, because with their superior technology, they could have wiped us out by now. Okay. They have to be way superior in intelligence, because look how advanced they are and look how they can travel at, speeds beyond the speed of light and on and on and on. Okay. Now, in that, why isn't there anyone from those great vast intelligences, if they are benevolent, why aren't they coming to help us? Why aren't they coming to help us with our technology? Texas just froze. Okay? And there's all kinds of disease and problems in the world. Forget COVID. Go to the CDC website, see what kills 1.4 to 1.5 million people in the world every year, still today. Tuberculosis. We have tons of diseases, illnesses, flus, viruses, all kinds of problems worldwide constantly. We need help. We need healing. We need resources to defeat this. Cancer, diabetes, on and on and on. So if there's these vast intelligences, these beings with this great intelligence, and they are benevolent, they're not trying to destroy us, then why not come down and help us? Okay? I question their benevolence. I question if they have any compassion. For the simple reason, let's go back to the abduction scenario. If any intelligence takes you against your will, that's immoral. That's unethical. Okay? If that intelligence then experiments on you against your will, that's immoral. That's unethical. All right? Let's further examine. Now, look, some people have made this statement, and there are some credible UFO researchers out there that have said something similar to this. There are some people that say, well, remember Star Trek and the Prime Directive? We'll observe, but we won't interfere. And there are even some credible UFO researchers that have stated that they believe that the aliens may be exhibiting some kind of prime directive of that nature. And then there are people that say that there are those in the upper echelons of the alien contingents that have made deals with those in power in our government and our military here on Earth that they be allowed to do certain things and they trade us certain things as a favor. Well, that sucks. That's unethical. That's immoral. That ignores the will of the people on the planet. Okay? So where's the reasoning there? It doesn't make any sense. It's illogical and it's stupid. And I'll tell you why it's stupid. The prime directive idea of observe but don't interfere is absolutely totally ridiculous. I remember Sam Kinison. Younger folks may not know, but Google him. Sam Kinison was the yelling comedian. He was hilarious. He was rather vulgar and loudmouthed and crude and very truthful and very honest. And in one of his comedy skits one time, he was making the statement that you see these shows where the cameraman goes and he's filming in India and the dirt streets and the kids are starving. And he's like, couldn't the cameraman give the kid a sandwich? It's like, exactly, okay? We as human beings, most of us, still have compassion. We have concern and empathy and feeling for the plight of others. So are these races so advanced that they've outgrown compassion and benevolence and kindness? If that's so, then they're not advanced. Let me give you an example of compassion on an ordinary level, on an ordinary day-to-day occurrence. If I see somebody on the side of the road and they've got a flat tire, I don't know them. There's nothing in it for me to help them. But I have compassion. I have empathy. I know what it's like to be stranded on the side of the road. I've been there. So I'm going to pull over and I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, hey, can I help you? Oh, we got a flat tire. Do you have a jack? Yeah, but we don't know how to use it. I do. I'll jack up your car and change the tire for you. Oh, God bless you. And hey, when I get through, here, man, here's $10. No, I don't want your $10. Just, I'm happy to do it for you. God bless you. Go safe on your way. If they don't have a jack, hey, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to wait with you. Make sure nothing happens to you till AAA gets here or somebody gets here for you. Compassion, empathy, feeling, concern, care for the plight of others. Okay? I mentioned Texas freezing. And you know what my good old Texas folk did? I'm from West Texas. I grew up in West Texas. And my good old Texas folk scoured everywhere they could for water and food, not just for themselves, but to help other people and to give to other people. Some people didn't have electric, didn't have gas, couldn't cook. You know what they did? Went out in the backyard, fired up the barbecue grill out in the cold and the snow, and cooked food on the grill and invited neighbors if they were hungry. I personally know, had some friends post, and I personally know this happened. They had fireplaces in their homes and they had a lot of firewood. And they were able to heat their homes and keep them warm in spite of the gas and electric outage. And they called up their neighbors or went to their neighbors and said, hey, we have heat. If you're cold, come over. We've got water for a while. You can shower, bring you a pallet, bring you a sleeping bag, bring you a blanket. Put it on the floor. You can sleep here tonight warm. We're going to keep the fireplace going all night. The house is toasty. You'll sleep warm. You know what we did? We took care of each other. Now that's empathy, that's compassion, that's sympathy in action. So if these intelligences are so friggin' great and so powerful and so advanced, isn't there one among all of them that cares enough that would break rank and come down to somebody and say, you know what? We can't solve the problem of the erupting volcanoes and the resulting tsunamis. We can't stop the earthquakes. We can't stop the hurricanes or the tornadoes. But you know what we can do? And this won't fix everything, but here's a tool or a technique or a potion or a vaccine or something. Take this, give it to the little sick and dying kids in St. Jude, and it'll cure their cancers, all of their cancers. Do that. Isn't there somebody out there that gives a damn enough to break rank and to help us? Is that just so far-fetched that it just disgusts me? I've made this statement, this argument recently, and some people have said, some half in jest and some pretty seriously, that we're just too damn stupid on this planet and too selfish and too greedy and too this and too that for the aliens to care. And I disagree with that 100%. When you see somebody on the side of the road broken down and needing help, you're not going to evaluate their education. You're not going to evaluate this or that or their background. You're going to go and make the attempt to help them. You're going to show compassion. Are we, as a lot, a pretty bad bunch of people? I don't think so. I think the majority of people do still exhibit some goodness and some kindness and some compassion and some mercy. And yes, we're in difficult times right now. And yes, the country is divided. And yes, people have divided over a lot of different issues, and a lot of different accusations are being hurled from one side to the other. And in all of that, there are voices calling for peace and for reconciliation and for listening. I'll listen to your argument. You listen to my argument. Let's pick those things out of there that we can agree on, and on the things that we can't agree on, let's see if we can find some common basis to solve that to everybody's satisfaction, to the best degree that we can. And that's what we need to do right now, and we still care enough to do that. And yes, the earth is worth saving. People are worth saving. People are worth reaching out to and helping. And if the Space Brothers don't believe that, then I don't want anything to do with the Space Brothers. Okay? So, the Space Brothers should help us. And why don't they? There's a lot of things that we need to be doing right now in the religious and the spiritual realms. We need to be reaching out to each other with compassion, with healing, with empathy more than ever before. We need to be trusting not so much in science, which blows with the wind and changes what it says from day to day, but in the spiritual realities that are there if we will seek them and listen to them and obey them and implement them in our lives. So yes, we have a lot of work to do, but I do believe that there are tools there that we can find to do it, and I believe that some of us are already in possession of those tools, and that we can move forward in great ways, make great strides, and do some great things. I wanted to tell you in this video again, I mentioned that to everybody, I'm trying to get this word out as much as I can. The months of February, March, and April this year are intensely strong months spiritually. February is gone. We're in March. April's coming. March is stronger than February. April is going to be the strongest month in this trio yet. And what do I mean by this? I mean that spiritual activity is increasing to the point that if we will seek spiritual help and spiritual guidance, we will find it. We may not achieve everything we want. We may not get everything we want, but we're going to get pointed in the right direction. And sometimes we will achieve some of those things that we want. Also, there's going to be times that the realm of spirit is just going to drop things in our lap if we're paying attention and activating and using our intuition during this March and April period. So be on the lookout for that. Utilize that. I haven't covered all the ground I want to on UFOs, but I've hit my hot buttons for you, and I hope it gives you some food for thought. What I've said is the truth, and I hope it gives you some food for thought, and I hope that we can all begin to press to move forward, to learn more, to achieve more, to find out more, to get some answers. And in the meantime, let's help each other. Now, I wanted to mention to you again my latest book, which I'll hold the cover up for you here. Whoop, there we go. Knock in the Attic, True Ghost Stories and Other Spine-Chilling Paranormal Adventures. This is my latest book. You can get this just about anywhere online at any online booksellers. Amazon obviously has it, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. You can get it in ebook and paperback formats. Unlike Writing with Ghost Angels and the Spirits of the Dead, which was my first book, this book is actually kind of a prequel to that. And it takes the reader back to my childhood when I was around 5 or 6, when I had my first paranormal experience that opened up the veil to the other side and began to allow me to have, so far, probably over 1,000 paranormal experiences. These have been real experiences in the physical realm, on the physical realm, that have actually occurred. We've documented them by photographs, by video, by audio recordings, and other people have seen them and have witnessed them. So these are real things, not something I meditated or hallucinated or dreamed or whatever. These are actual real occurrences. And then about the same time, when I was about 5 or 6, the experience that I had also opened up my psychic awakening, my psychic gift, and I began to utilize that. You'll read about that in the book. The book hits the highlights of going through my childhood, what it was like to be psychic, to have these experiences on into my teenage years and into my adulthood. Covers my move to New York, my move to Florida, and there's lots of new paranormal stories in it that are very exciting. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. It's going to be like Writing with Ghosts. It's unlike anything you've ever read in the paranormal realm. And for the very first time ever, I write in this book about what it was like to shoot a TV pilot for the History Channel, during which I explored psychically the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by John Wilkes Booth. So that's an exciting read. I hope you'll pick up a copy, buy some for gifts, share it with others if you can. There'll be links in the description for that as well. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you listening. I hope that this has been meaningful to you. And I'm going to try and get, at least one time a week, I'm going to try and get a new subject, a new topic up, give you some good food for thought. And I also want to answer some viewer questions. And we do have a viewer question that I'm going to answer now, and this can be anonymous. You can email me at johnrussellpsychic@hotmail.com with your question. Just put YouTube question, and you'll remain anonymous. I won't use your name when I talk about the question and answer your question. One good question that came to me, which I'll answer now, they were wondering, they see these episodes, like, and even in science fiction, but sometimes in the realm of the paranormal, where a person gets like stuck on the other side, or like phase shifts to another dimension or the other side, and I wanted to know, is that possible? I do believe it is. I don't believe it's common. I believe it's very rare, but there have been numerous credible reports where a person entered another dimension for a while and then came back, and sometimes people have disappeared and never come back, and we don't know all the causes of that. But you can look like in the Paranormal 411 series, where people have disappeared out in the woods and were never found again, and there are instances where the implication is they might have phase shifted into another dimension. And I remember one of the stories, a couple was walking, and not that far apart. One was in front of the other, and the other was lagging a little bit behind. And they began to call out to this person, and the other person couldn't see them and couldn't hear them. And then eventually turned around and found them. And they were like, where were you? And why didn't you come when I called? Well, they neither saw the person nor heard the person, and they had turned around and retraced their steps to find that person and couldn't. And then eventually they got back together, and the only thing that the person could figure out was that for a while they had momentarily slipped into some type of alternate dimension where they did not exist in the same plane as the other person that was calling their name and trying to find them, and they couldn't hear them. So apparently it is possible, yes. So there's the answer to that question. I do have more, and feel free to send in yours. I look forward to reading them and answering them. And again, I've been John Russell, psychic, paranormal investigator, and author. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will talk to you again soon. God bless. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.